Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Silly Car Showdown. Today we are taking a look at the Mitsubishi GTO. The reason we're taking a look at this car is because I was sort of looking through the cars in my garage, seeing if there was anything that could possibly challenge the BMW i8 V10, which has been sitting pretty at the top of our leaderboard. Nothing has really challenged it. So I was looking for something all-wheel drive and could potentially get a lot of power, and I thought I'd try something a little bit different. So we have the GTO, probably the most forgotten of all of the Japanese sports cars, although it is my personal favourite of all of them, although I do prefer the 99 and 93 generations over this particular model, which is a 97. With that being said, it is still better than no GTO, and we shall go have a look and see what we can do with it, and yeah, see if it could actually get anywhere near that BMW. So, as far as engines go, we have 6.2 litre V8, 4.5 litre V8. I might stick with a stock engine just to see how much power it gets. I don't know if I have that much confidence in it getting a lot of power, but we will have to see. Anyways, of course it is all-wheel drive, so I am going to want Forza Aero, and I'm going to want Forza Aero on the rear. The Safari pretty much proved that that was the way to go. I don't really care if any of those help the PI, because they're all absolutely revolting. Maybe the hood will be... the hood saves a lot of weight, so as much as I don't really like the way it looks, I will go with it, purely to give the GTO its best fighting chance. I'm sorry GTO, you need this. Now, of course, similar to the Pacer from last time, 265s on the front, they're okay, and 265s on the rear. Yeah, not quite as big as I'd hoped. I don't want this car to fall flat on its face, but I have a sort of slight fear at the back of my mind it might do. Anyways, of course, similar to the Pacer, the biggest issue the GTO is probably going to have is in terms of its weight. This was by far and away the heaviest of sort of that collective of Japanese sports cars, which is not a particularly good place to be, but there you go. That's sort of where it ended up. It was much more of a GT car than a sports car per se. Right, roll cage. It is a lot of weight. I might only put it on sport chassis instead of going full race chassis, just to save some weight. £3,000 if we do that. The question is, do any of the engines save weight? They save significant amounts of weight. Engine swap is tempting. How much power do we actually get out? Right, twin turbos. You see, they don't give us a whole lot of power. I don't think this engine's going to get a lot of power. It'll probably get about 600 horsepower on its own. But yeah, I don't think it's really going to do much more than that. I think we are going to have to engine swap it just to give it the best possible chance. So I'm going to go for the Ferrari 4.5 litre V8, and we'll go twin turbos again. Sorry for going twin turbos a couple of times in a row, but again, I want this car to do well. And again, sort of trying to give it the best possible chance it has to do well. I just don't know. It's sort of, the more I'm building this up now, the less confident I am in its abilities to do well, but you never know. Maybe it'll be the fastest car in the world, but I somehow doubt it. Twin turbos usually give this engine all of its power. Okay, it's not quite as powerful as I was expecting. 914 horsepower in the end. R844. It was one of the higher PI cars we've actually ever had. Yeah, is there anything else I could really... I mean, the V8 does make more power, but at the same time I do actually prefer having... they just do improve the thing. Those improve the drag, but not by a noticeable amount. Right. Again, sort of trying to think of any advantages I could really give this car that won't completely violate my rules for it. Again, no tuning, no drivetrain swaps. So, there we go. That is the GTO. 914 horsepower, 615 foot-pound torque, 2,966 pounds weight, front-engined 54%, R844 PI, front-engined, four-wheel drive. I don't think it's going to beat the BMW, but hopefully it'll get close. There's only one way to find out, though. Alright, we are on track with the Mitsubishi GTO, our V8's completely ripped out, stripped out GTO. The point of this is it is going to get 7 laps to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the BMW i8 V10, which I was speaking about, 46 47.066 for that car. I don't quite think the GTO is going to have the handling. I don't think it has the PI. I don't think it's going to have the anything really to compete with that BMW. However, one car that it could compete with is our current car in second place. The first car we actually ever had round, the NASCAR 928 GTS, which set a time of 47.741. And alternative to that, of course, it has got our Zenvo. It could always beat, which was stock at 47.861 for the Zenvo. Basically, 47 seconds is about where I'm aiming for in the GTO. And straight away, definitely understeer. Definitely understeer. That being said, this opening lap was quick. Jesus, it was quick. Okay, so maybe this could be a diamond in the rough. Maybe, despite everything, this will turn out to be an excellent bit of kit. Again, only time will tell. Yeah. Again, putting the Ferrari engine in it, probably sacrilege. I don't feel particularly good about putting it in either, but again, it was lighter. Lightweight is what this is all about trying to do. Again, the amusing thing is this is actually still considerably heavier than that Nissan Safari was. Admittedly, that car was stripped out to be purposely lightweight, but yeah, it is quite amusing how sort of light that car was. 48.436 on its first flyer, and that was with going wide into there, so that does put it ahead of the Safari Superlight, but still not quite beating the Zenvo or anything just yet. A bit of power through there. Right, yeah. The understeer is sort of keeping me humble about this car. It is sort of preventing me from well and truly pushing it, but at the same time, that is literally the only issue with this car, because otherwise, probably the easiest car I've driven on this series so far. It's literally just got Impreza level understeer, and that's sort of it. 47.787, it is quicker than the Zenvo. It is quicker than the Zenvo. In terms of PI, I'm not actually sure if this is higher up than the NASCAR Porsche was. Of course, NASCAR Porsche, much more power. Actually, yeah, had about 80 more horsepower, weighed a lot less, of course, rear-wheel drive though, so... and me in general, I do prefer driving four-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. Also had a better gearbox though. This one, as you might be able to tell, extremely long ratios. Which is a little bit of a shame. Doesn't mean that the twin turbos aren't. Well, turbo lag shouldn't be an issue for this car. However, I fear it might be currently. But yeah, super nice car to actually just drive though. Might not be the quickest car in the world, but I really like the way this thing is handling. It actually shows that maybe in S-Class, the GTO can finally come out into its own, because in its sort of native category, this sort of sports JDM that it's in, compare it to like an RX-7 or something, it's just going to get trounced because it has to restrict its power, and there's no way PI wise it can make up the weight difference. So yeah, in its stock category it isn't too good, but maybe as an S-Class car this can actually prove to be pretty darn good. A little bit of wheel spin coming out of there. Going on to the penultimate lap with the GTO / 3000 GT. I would prefer it if it was the 3000 GT, but it's GTO. It's what we've got to deal with. At least it's nice to have the steering wheel on the correct side for a change. Which actually, believe it or not, I'm not actually just saying that to be a meme. It does actually help with gauging some of these corners to be over on this side of the car. Which, I mean, makes sense because Brands Hatch is a British racetrack after all. This lap has been a bit of a throwaway. Excuse me. Let's hope that the final lap will prove to be a little bit more fruitful for our Mitsubishi. Whoa, there we go. Get a nice run up onto the straight. I haven't really been paying attention too much to how quick the cars have been coming down the straight, but they've been coming down relatively quickly from what I remember. Yeah, it seems to be very, very good at setting very consistent early 48s. But of course we want more than that. We want much more than that. Come on, get on the power. Nice and early. It is slightly slower up to now, but can we make it up through the final sector? It feels quicker through the final sector than it has been doing. Come on. Come on, GTO. I almost got it an FTO. Not an FTO. That'd be badass in this game though, wouldn't it? Not any quicker. 47.787. Final time for the GTO. It's actually not that far off the NASCAR Porsche. It literally loses out by very, very little. About a tenth of a second, or actually 4/10 of a second. Not quite exactly. 47.787 compared to a 47.741. Either way, that does put the GTO into third place. Again, very fractionally slower than the NASCAR 928 GT S. It is quicker than our benchmark, the stock Zenvo though. And it does have about almost a second on the Nissan Safari. But yeah, just a little bit too much understeer, maybe a little bit too little power to really rival the BMW. That being said, this is probably, in my opinion, the best driving of any of the cars that I've driven in this series so far. So yeah, as I said, maybe as an S-Class car, GTO might prove to be pretty good. Anyways, if you have requests for this series that you'd like to see be taken around this track, do let me know what you'd like to see, and if you want to come check out my channel, you can do so in the description box below. But thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.